If you love the craft of animation, chances are you've seen at least one Studio Ghibli movie. And if so, you probably noticed how different they feel. That's not a coincidence. There's a reason why movies like Spirited Away, My Neighbor Totoro, and The Tale of Princess Kaguya feel otherworldly, almost dreamlike, but profoundly human at the same time. So what makes Ghibli storytelling so special? What's their secret? Hey storytellers, I'm screenwriter Pietro Schito and this is Write for Animation. Subscribe and hit the bell for more videos about the craft behind your favorite animated films and how you can use those lessons to carve your name in the animation industry.
And it belongs to me now.
Since my aunt left Italy to become a missionary in Japan, I've always been fascinated by the Japanese culture, almost as much as Miyazaki's passion for Italian culture. So when most of my friends were watching just Disney films, I was binging anime. That's when I hit play on a VHS with Kiki Consegna Domicilio, Kiki's delivery service. I was about to get to high school, I was fixing computers at my part-time job, plus my guitar lessons at night. I was exhausted, and seeing Kiki go through burnout and self-doubt felt like looking into a slightly more whimsical mirror. But the most surprising part was that after the movie ended, I realized all my classmates felt the same way, even those who always seemed like they had it all together. That cute witch made all of us feel seen. In that moment, we all felt like Kiki. And that's where I want to begin, with the characters. If there is one lesson I hope you take from this channel, it's that characters are the core of every great story. That is true for Pixar, it's true for Cartoon Saloon, and it's definitely true for Ghibli. Whether they're fun, ambitious, naive, mysterious, or downright cruel, Ghibli characters stand out because of how human they feel, even when they're not. These are well-realized characters. They have passions, fears, and contradictions. They're not idealized, they're not overly quirky. Sometimes they're childish adults, and sometimes they're very adult children.
How could you help her?
I don't know, but at least we might find a way to live.
These protagonists are effective because they have a major flaw that influences their action and how they interact with the world. Chihiro is fearful and timid. Jiro is so focused on his dream, he loses sight of reality. And Seita is so proud, he refuses to accept help. This flaw defines their character arc. Hopefully, they'll overcome it and grow. But if they don't, the consequences are painful. But honestly, isn't failing to overcome our weaknesses also deeply human? It's not a story in which the characters grow up, but a story in which they draw on something already inside them, brought out by the particular circumstances. Ghibli is not interested in making perfect role model protagonists. They embrace the messiness of humanity. Their characters can be angry, aggressive, and deceitful, but they can also be gentle, scared, or quietly strong. These are just people trying to figure themselves out.
Don't forget how hard I've worked. And your room. It's a beauty. It always has the best light.
Of course it does.
But characters don't exist in a vacuum, and if there's one thing that people may love even more than a Ghibli character, it's a Ghibli world. Two things characterize Ghibli's world building. One, the magical is ordinary, and the ordinary is magical. In Howl's Moving Castle, Sophie gets cursed and turned into an old lady, and instead of freaking out, she just rolls with it and keeps going.
Looks like he'll have it dry in no time.
In Kiki's delivery service, sure, Kiki is literally a flying witch, but it's not like anyone cares about that. She's just another teen trying to hold down a job.
I've gotta run! Bye!
And in Spirited Away, Chihiro is thrown into a world full of spirits and monsters where she still has to clean floors and attend guests.
Hello? Aren't you getting wet out there?
This magical mundanity is already interesting, but what makes it really special is how Ghibli leans into the mundane part of it. Because if magical feels normal, then the normal stuff starts to feel magical. These movies are so great at turning the simplest of moments into memorable events. In the eyes of Ghibli, the details of a daily life are just as special as any magic trick. Whether that's walking home from school, sharing a meal, or riding the train. And it's why people fall in love with Ghibli. But let's put a pin on that for now and we'll come back later. The second thing that makes a movie feel like a Studio Ghibli film is the relationship the theme has with the world building. World building refers to the physical and societal set of rules that the characters live by. The theme is the heart of the story, the subject your movie explores, and the lesson you expect your audience to take with them. World building is one of the best avenues to explore the theme of your story, and Studio Ghibli is an expert at creating rich, lived-in worlds with a clear set of rules that tackle themes in a quiet, powerful way. For example, in Nausicaa, the planet's contamination has created a toxic jungle filled with gigantic bug-like monsters. The jungle isn't just a backdrop, it's the problem. It is only when Nausicaa chooses not to repeat humanity's mistakes that hope for a cleaner future becomes possible. In the secret world of Ariete, a tiny girl survives hidden in a house built for people much bigger than her. Her size makes her vulnerable, and that vulnerability is the heart of the story. Ariete's strength comes not from size, but courage and resourcefulness. And in Porco Rosso, set in post-World War I Italy, a pig-faced pilot lives in self-imposed exile, disgusted by the rise of fascism.
Thanks for the offer, but I'd rather be a pig than a fascist.
His curse mirrors his disconnection from humanity. Only by reconnecting with others does he begin to heal. Anime may depict fictional worlds, but I nonetheless believe that at its core, it must have a certain realism. Okay, so characters and world building are super important for any movie to work. But now, it is finally time to talk about the real secret behind Ghibli's success: structure. You see, most Hollywood movies follow the classic 3-act structure, which is all about conflict and action, each scene pushing the plot forward through struggle or confrontation. But Ghibli films often do things differently. They use a traditional Japanese 4-act structure called Kisho Tenketsu, which can tell a story with little or no conflict. If you're a fan of anime, you've probably seen this kind of storytelling before. So let's break it down using one of my favorite Ghibli films, My Neighbor Totoro. First, Ki, the waking up. We meet the characters and the world they live in. Satsuki and Mei move to the countryside with their dad to be closer to their mom, who's in the hospital. Next, Sho, the listening. This is when the story develops, and it is usually the longest part of the story where we watch the characters go about their daily lives. The girls settle into their new home, explore the area, and befriend the playful forest spirits. Eventually, they meet Totoro, a friendly creature who becomes part of their world. Then, 10. The twist. Something unexpected happens that shifts our view of the story. This isn't the same as a climax in the 3-act structure. A climax is usually a big showdown or a final battle, but a twist in Kisho Tenketsu doesn't have to involve conflict. It is just a turn in the story. One day, Mei runs away after hearing her mom won't be coming home, and Satsuki turns to Totoro for help in finding Mei. Finally, Ketsu, the conclusion. The story ends not with a fight, but with reflection and emotional resolution. Mei is found. The girls visit their mom and learn she's going to be okay. The film closes with the family feeling hopeful and Totoro quietly watching over them. In this movie, there's no villain, no final battle, and yet the story feels complete. Because while the three-act structure focuses on conflict, Kisho Tenketsu focuses on development. It's not about defeating the bad guy or winning the prize. It's about watching the characters live, grow, and respond to life in small, meaningful ways.
You're okay. I'm sorry.
Remember that pin from earlier? We talked about how Ghibli makes the ordinary feel magical, and they do that by focusing on those small details. That's why Ghibli stories feel so rich. They take their time. Kisho Tenketsu makes space for that quiet, especially in Act 2, Sho. It translates to listen, because it's all about paying attention and taking time to explore the world you've created. The sound of grass moving with the air, the way oil sizzles in a pan, the joy of sharing music. The time in between my clapping is ma. If you just have non-stop action with no breathing space at all, it's just busyness. But if you take a moment, then the tension building in the film can grow into a wider dimension. Sometimes, when watching a story like this, you might feel like nothing really happened. But something did happen. The characters changed. They went through something. They grew. And as we followed them, we grew too. It is a different way to tell a story, but it's a beautiful one. Now, it's important to recognize that Ghibli is not a single filmmaker, and that not all Ghibli films follow Kisho Tenketsu. Howl's Moving Castle leans more towards a traditional three-act structure, and Grave of the Fireflies has a very clear conflict. Even Princess Mononoke builds to a high-stakes climax. At the end of the day, Ghibli's films are all about intuition. For them, following strict story rules isn't as important as telling a good story. In fact, Miyazaki doesn't even write scripts. He just starts drawing. So you shouldn't aim to write the perfect Studio Ghibli film. You should aim to write your film. Because if there's one lesson to take from Ghibli, it's this: as similar as their film may seem, each one is different. Each story shifts and transforms to follow what feels true. It's all about honest storytelling. And here's a quote I love: "We must not make films to aim to please all. We must make films that are sincere." So stop overthinking and start creating. Let your story show you what it wants to be, and whatever you do, make it honest.
You can build your own tower, a kingdom that is free from malice.
So tell me, what's your favorite Studio Ghibli film and why? And what are some other lessons that you took from Ghibli's way of storytelling? Let us know in the comments. And another film that uses contemplation as a way of storytelling is the Oscar-winning Flaw. Check this video to see how I had the luck of speaking with its director, Gensil Bolotis, and how I totally botched that interview. I'm Pietro, and this is Write for Animation, and I'll see you the next time.